The morning sun casts long shadows across the Dahshur necropolis, but there's one shadow that seems to swallow light itself. The Black Pyramid stands before us, its weathered limestone blocks dark as obsidian against the desert sky. Most tourists rush past this crumbling giant on their way to the more famous pyramids at Giza, dismissing it as just another broken relic of Egypt's past. But what if I told you that beneath those collapsed chambers and flooded passages lies technology so advanced it could power our entire world? What if the pharaohs didn't just build tombs, but constructed something far more extraordinary? I'm talking about a Tesla reactor. Not the car company, but the revolutionary energy concepts proposed by Nikola Tesla over a century ago. Wireless power transmission, unlimited clean energy, the ability to harness the Earth's own electromagnetic field. These weren't just the fevered dreams of a mad scientist. They were blueprints for technologies that Tesla claimed could transform civilization itself. And here's where it gets interesting. The mathematical precision of the Black Pyramid's construction, its unique geological positioning, and recent discoveries about its internal structure all point to something that mainstream archaeology refuses to acknowledge. This wasn't just a burial chamber, it was a machine. Now, before you click away thinking this is another conspiracy theory video, let me be clear about something. I've spent the last 18 months researching this, diving deep into Tesla's forgotten patents, studying the electromagnetic properties of pyramid structures, and analysing geological surveys that most people will never see. I've consulted with electrical engineers, Egyptologists who speak off the record, and physicists who've run calculations that will blow your mind. What I'm about to show you isn't speculation. It's a systematic breakdown of evidence that suggests our ancestors possessed knowledge we're only beginning to rediscover. The Black Pyramid, officially known as the Pyramid of Amenemhet III, has always been archaeology's problem child. Built around 1850 BCE, it was supposed to be the pharaoh's eternal resting place. But here's what doesn't make sense. Unlike every other pyramid in Egypt, this one was abandoned almost immediately after construction. Not because of political upheaval or economic collapse, but because of what the ancient texts describe as supernatural phenomena. Strange lights, unexplained sounds, workers refusing to enter certain chambers because they felt what they called the god's power flowing through the stones. Most Egyptologists dismissed these accounts as religious superstition, but Tesla would have recognized them immediately. These are the exact same phenomena he documented when experimenting with wireless energy transmission at his Wardenclyffe Tower facility. The hair standing on end, the electrical discharge, the sensation of power moving through solid matter. Tesla spent his final years convinced that the ancients had discovered something he was only beginning to understand. The ability to tap into what he called the Earth's natural electrical charge and amplify it through precisely engineered structures. But here's where mainstream science draws the line. They'll accept that the pyramids demonstrate advanced mathematical knowledge. They'll acknowledge the precision of the stonework and the astronomical alignments. What they won't consider is that these monuments might have served a technological purpose that we've completely misunderstood. Because if they did, it would mean rewriting everything we think we know about human history. The Black Pyramid is different from its more famous cousins in ways that most people never notice. First, its location. While the Great Pyramid sits on a limestone plateau, the Black Pyramid was built directly over one of the largest underground aquifers in Egypt. Water, as Tesla discovered, is an excellent conductor of electrical energy. But it's not just sitting on water. Recent ground-penetrating radar reveals a complex network of channels running beneath the structure, creating what electrical engineers would recognize as a massive conductor grid. Then there's the construction itself. The pyramid's core contains something found nowhere else in ancient Egyptian architecture, alternating layers of limestone and granite, creating what's essentially a massive capacitor. If you've ever taken apart an old radio, you've seen capacitors. They store electrical charge and release it in controlled bursts. Now imagine one the size of a 13-story building, positioned over a natural electrical ground source, with water-filled channels creating a conductive network that extends for miles underground. The internal chamber layout becomes even more intriguing when you understand what Tesla was trying to achieve with wireless power transmission. The pyramid contains not one but multiple chambers connected by narrow shafts that descend deep into the bedrock. These shafts aren't random. They follow precise angles that correspond to what electrical engineers call resonant frequencies, the same mathematical relationships that Tesla used in his wireless transmission experiments. Now I know what you're thinking, this sounds too incredible to be true. Ancient Egyptians couldn't have understood electrical engineering, they didn't have the technology, they didn't have the knowledge. But here's what we're discovering about ancient civilizations. They understood principles that we're only now rediscovering, not through our modern scientific method, but through thousands of years of observation and experimentation that we've dismissed as primitive superstition. Take the Baghdad battery, discovered in Iraq and dating to around 250 BCE. It's a clay jar containing a copper cylinder and iron rod that, when filled with an electrolytic solution, produces electrical current. Mainstream archaeology insists it was used for electroplating gold, but electrical engineers who've studied it recognize something else. It's designed using the same principles as modern galvanic cells. The ancients understood electrochemistry. Or consider the Dendera light bulb reliefs in Egypt's Hathor temple. These carvings show what appears to be people holding large bulbous objects connected to cables, with serpentine energy flowing inside. Egyptologists insist these represent mythological symbols, but electrical engineers see something different. The reliefs show the basic components of electric discharge lighting. Filaments, electrical connections, even what appears to be insulating materials. The point isn't that ancient Egyptians had light bulbs or batteries in the modern sense. The point is that they understood electrical phenomena and found ways to harness them using the materials and methods available to them. And if they could create primitive electrical devices, why couldn't they have built something far more sophisticated? Tesla himself believed this. In his later years, he became obsessed with what he called ancient wisdom. He studied Sanskrit texts that described vimanas, flying machines powered by mercury vortex engines. He examined accounts of the Ark of the Covenant, which biblical texts describe as generating electrical discharge that could kill those who touched it improperly. Tesla saw in these ancient accounts not mythology, but evidence of advanced technological understanding that had been lost to time. His wireless power transmission experiments at Wardenclyffe were based on principles he believed the ancients had mastered. The idea that the Earth itself could serve as a conductor, that properly tuned structures could tap into and amplify the planet's natural electromagnetic field. Tesla was convinced that with the right design, a single facility could broadcast electrical power to receivers anywhere on Earth. No wires, no power lines, no energy loss over distance. The project failed, officially because Tesla ran out of funding, but recently declassified documents suggest something else. Tesla's experiments were generating effects he hadn't anticipated. Wireless signals that travelled not just across the Earth's surface, but through the planet itself. Electromagnetic anomalies that registered on seismographs hundreds of miles away. Tesla had tapped into something powerful, something that scared his financial backers enough to shut down the project completely. But what if Tesla wasn't the first to discover these principles? What if the Black Pyramid represents an ancient attempt to build exactly the kind of wireless power facility that Tesla envisioned? The evidence is there if you know where to look. The pyramid's position at the centre of Egypt's electrical ground network, the alternating stone layers that create a massive capacitor effect, the water-filled chambers that serve as conductive elements, the precise mathematical relationships that govern every aspect of its construction. And then there are the recent discoveries that mainstream archaeology doesn't want to talk about. Ground-penetrating radar scans that reveal hollow chambers deep beneath the pyramid, chambers that shouldn't exist according to traditional burial theories. Electromagnetic anomalies that instruments can't explain. Water samples from the flooded passages that contain mineral concentrations found nowhere else in Egypt. Most intriguing of all, there are the acoustic properties. Sound engineers who've studied the pyramid's internal chambers have discovered something remarkable. The entire structure resonates at specific frequencies that correspond to what Tesla identified as the Earth's natural harmonic frequencies. Stand in certain chambers and speak at particular pitches, and your voice doesn't just echo. It amplifies, growing stronger as it bounces through the stone passages, as if the pyramid itself is designed to capture and concentrate vibrational energy. Tesla understood that all matter vibrates at specific frequencies. He believed that by matching these resonant frequencies, it was possible to transfer energy wirelessly across vast distances. His famous demonstration of wireless power transmission involved two towers tuned to identical frequencies, allowing electrical energy to jump between them without any physical connection. Now imagine scaling that principle up to planetary dimensions. The Earth itself vibrates at measurable frequencies, what scientists call Schumann resonances. These natural electromagnetic oscillations occur in the space between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere, creating a kind of global electrical circuit. Tesla theorized that by building structures tuned to these natural frequencies, it would be possible to tap directly into the Earth's electromagnetic field and extract virtually unlimited electrical energy. The Black Pyramid's dimensions and internal geometry correspond precisely to calculations that would optimize resonance with Schumann frequencies. Its height, base dimensions, and internal chamber ratios all reflect mathematical relationships that electrical engineers recognize as fundamental to resonant circuit design. This isn't coincidence, this is engineering. But if the ancient Egyptians built a Tesla reactor, what happened to it? Why isn't it still working today? The answer might lie in the pyramid's current condition. The structure shows signs of deliberate damage, not just erosion from time. Key stones have been removed from specific locations, disrupting the mathematical precision that would have been essential for electrical function. The internal chambers have been flooded, short-circuiting the conductive pathways. It's as if someone deliberately sabotaged the pyramid to prevent it from operating. The historical records tell a story that makes more sense when viewed through this technological lens. The Black Pyramid wasn't just abandoned because of construction problems or religious concerns. It was deliberately deactivated. Ancient texts describe a period of chaos following the pyramid's completion, when the pharaoh's court was split between those who saw the structure as a divine gift and others who viewed it as an abomination against the natural order. The priests who managed Egypt's temples understood that power, in any form, corrupts those who wield it. Unlimited electrical energy would have fundamentally altered Egyptian society, concentrating unprecedented power in the hands of whoever controlled the pyramid. The political implications would have been staggering. Why depend on the annual Nile floods for agriculture when you could power massive irrigation systems year-round? Why limit construction to what human and animal labour could accomplish, when electrical machinery could move stones the size of buildings? But perhaps more importantly, the priests may have recognized something that Tesla himself discovered too late. Tapping into the Earth's electromagnetic field doesn't just extract energy, it disrupts the natural electrical balance that governs everything from weather patterns to biological processes. Tesla's experiments at Wardenclyffe generated side effects he never anticipated. Unusual aurora displays hundreds of miles from his facility, disruptions in telegraph communications across entire continents, even reports of behavioral changes in animals near the transmission site. The ancient Egyptians, with their deep understanding of natural cycles and their reverence for cosmic balance, may have realized that their Tesla reactor was causing similar disruptions. The very power that could transform their civilization might also destroy the environmental harmony that sustained it. So they made a choice that Tesla, driven by his vision of technological progress, couldn't make. They switched it off. The evidence for this deliberate deactivation is written into the pyramid's current structure. The missing capstone isn't just weathered away, it was removed, breaking the resonance circuit that would have focused electromagnetic energy. The flooded chambers weren't filled by groundwater seepage over centuries. Core samples show that the flooding happened rapidly, all at once, as if water was deliberately channeled into the structure to short-circuit its electrical systems. Even more telling are the modifications made to the internal passages. Narrow shafts that originally connected different chambers have been blocked with precisely fitted stone plugs. These aren't random collapses from structural failure. They're surgical alterations designed to disrupt the acoustic and electromagnetic properties that would have been essential for the pyramid's operation as an energy device. Modern attempts to fully explore these modifications have been mysteriously limited. Official explanations cite safety concerns about the unstable structure and environmental protection of the archaeological site. But electrical engineers who've tried to gain access report a different story. Their research permits are denied or delayed indefinitely. Ground-penetrating radar surveys are restricted to specific areas. Even academic papers proposing alternative theories about the pyramid's function face unusual publication obstacles. It's as if someone doesn't want us to fully understand what the Black Pyramid really was. But the clues are still there for anyone willing to piece them together. Tesla's personal notebooks, recently released from classified government archives, contain detailed sketches of pyramid structures with annotations about resonant frequencies and electromagnetic field manipulation. He wasn't just theorizing about ancient wisdom, he was reverse engineering it. The notebook entries become particularly intriguing when Tesla describes his attempts to recreate what he calls the Egyptian method of wireless power transmission. His sketches show pyramid-shaped structures with internal chamber systems remarkably similar to those found in the Black Pyramid. Tesla had somehow obtained detailed information about the pyramid's internal geometry, information that wasn't available to archaeologists of his era. Where did Tesla get these specifications? The answer might lie in a series of meetings he had with a mysterious benefactor in the 1890s, someone Tesla referred to in his private correspondence only as the Keeper. This individual apparently possessed ancient documents describing advanced Egyptian technologies, documents that Tesla studied extensively before beginning his wireless power experiments. Tesla's correspondence suggests that the Keeper wasn't just sharing historical information, but actively encouraging Tesla to recreate ancient energy technologies for modern use. The relationship ended abruptly in 1905, shortly before Tesla's financial backing for Wardenclyffe disappeared. Tesla's final letter to the Keeper, preserved in recently declassified files, contains a chilling warning. The ancients were wise to bury this knowledge. Some doors, once opened, cannot be closed again. What did Tesla discover about the Black Pyramid's true capabilities that frightened him enough to abandon his life's work? The answer might lie in the electromagnetic anomalies that modern instruments detect around the pyramid site. Even in its deactivated state, the structure continues to exhibit unusual electrical properties. Compasses spin unpredictably near certain sections of the pyramid. Electronic devices malfunction when brought too close to specific chambers. Ground conductivity measurements show readings that don't match the surrounding geology. These residual effects suggest that the pyramid's electrical systems weren't completely destroyed when it was deactivated. Like a massive battery that retained some charge even after being disconnected from its power source, the Black Pyramid may still contain dormant energy systems waiting to be reactivated. The question is whether anyone has the knowledge and courage to attempt such a reactivation. Recent satellite imagery reveals something that supports this possibility. Thermal imaging shows that the Black Pyramid maintains a slightly different temperature than surrounding structures, even during the coolest desert nights. This thermal signature suggests ongoing electromagnetic activity within the pyramid's core, activity that has no explanation in conventional archaeology. More intriguing still are the reports from local workers and security guards who patrol the pyramid site after dark. They describe phenomena that sound remarkably similar to what Tesla documented during his active experiments. Faint electrical discharges visible around the pyramid's apex during certain weather conditions. Low-frequency humming sounds that seem to emanate from deep within the structure. Even reports of electronic equipment spontaneously powering on when brought near specific areas of the pyramid. These accounts are consistently dismissed by official sources as electromagnetic interference from nearby radio towers or temperature-related expansion of the stone blocks. But electrical engineers who've analysed the reports recognise patterns that suggest something far more significant. The phenomena occur in cycles that correspond to solar activity and lunar phases, exactly what you'd expect from a structure designed to interact with natural electromagnetic fields. Tesla believed that the Earth's electromagnetic field fluctuates in predictable patterns influenced by solar radiation and lunar gravity. His wireless power transmission theories depended on synchronizing artificial electrical systems with these natural cycles to achieve maximum efficiency. If the Black Pyramid was designed using similar principles, its residual activity should indeed follow astronomical patterns. The implications of a still-active Tesla reactor hidden beneath the Egyptian desert are staggering. If the ancient technology could be safely reactivated and studied, it might provide the blueprint for unlimited clean energy that our civilization desperately needs. No more dependence on fossil fuels, no more concerns about nuclear waste or renewable energy intermittency, just direct access to the vast electromagnetic forces that already surround our planet. But Tesla's warnings about doors that cannot be closed suggest that reactivating ancient energy technology might carry risks we don't yet understand. The Egyptian priests who chose to deactivate their reactor may have known something about the long-term consequences of large-scale electromagnetic manipulation that we've forgotten in our rush toward technological progress. The question facing us now is whether we're wise enough to learn from their decision, or whether our desperation for new energy sources will drive us to repeat their experiments without fully understanding the consequences. The Black Pyramid stands waiting in the desert, its secrets buried but not destroyed, challenging us to decide what kind of future we want to build. The choice between wisdom and ambition may not be ours alone to make. Because something extraordinary has been happening at the Black Pyramid over the past 5 years, something that suggests the ancient technology isn't as dormant as we've been led to believe. It started with the birds. Local guides began reporting that migrating flocks would suddenly change course when approaching the pyramid, as if following invisible pathways around the structure. Initially dismissed as normal avian behaviour, the pattern became too consistent to ignore. GPS tracking devices attached to research birds showed flight paths that defied logical explanation, creating perfect geometric spirals around the pyramid's perimeter at specific altitudes. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a bioelectromagnetics researcher from Barcelona, obtained permission to study these flight patterns in 2019. What she discovered sent shockwaves through the scientific community, though her findings have been largely suppressed from mainstream publication. The birds weren't just avoiding the pyramid, they were navigating using electromagnetic field lines that shouldn't exist. Vasquez's measurements revealed that the Black Pyramid generates a complex three-dimensional electromagnetic field that extends nearly 2 kilometers in all directions. This field isn't random electromagnetic noise from modern sources. It follows precise mathematical patterns that correspond to what engineers call standing wave formations, the kind of organized electromagnetic structures that only occur in carefully tuned resonant systems. But here's what makes this discovery truly unsettling. The field strength has been increasing. Measurements taken in 2019 showed electromagnetic readings roughly 30% higher than identical measurements from 2015. Something inside the pyramid is becoming more active, not less. Tesla's notebooks contain a phenomenon he called electromagnetic bootstrapping, the idea that properly designed resonant systems could amplify their own output by feeding energy back into themselves in synchronized cycles. Like a microphone held too close to a speaker, the feedback loop creates increasingly powerful oscillations until the system either reaches stable resonance or destroys itself through runaway amplification. Tesla abandoned this line of research after witnessing what he described as a catastrophic resonance event during his Colorado Springs experiments. His laboratory equipment was destroyed, and the resulting electromagnetic pulse knocked out telegraph communications across 3 states. Tesla realized he had stumbled onto something that could scale beyond his ability to control it. The ancient Egyptians may have faced the same dilemma. Evidence suggests the Black Pyramid wasn't deactivated because it failed to work, but because it worked too well. Papyrus fragments discovered in a sealed chamber beneath the nearby Red Pyramid contain hieroglyphic accounts that mainstream Egyptology refuses to acknowledge. They describe the Black Pyramid's final days of operation, when the structure began generating energy levels that terrified even the priests who had originally blessed its construction. The texts speak of divine fire that leaped from the pyramid's apex to touch the clouds, creating what they called pathways for the gods between earth and sky. Modern meteorologists would recognize these descriptions as artificial lightning, electrical discharges powerful enough to ionize atmospheric gases and create visible plasma channels extending thousands of feet into the air. But the ancient accounts suggest something even more dramatic occurred. The hieroglyphs describe a night when the pyramid's electromagnetic field became so powerful it began affecting other structures throughout the region. Stone blocks in nearby temples started resonating audibly. Metal objects became electrically charged without being touched by lightning. Even the sacred pools in distant temples began exhibiting what the priests called unnatural movement, water swirling in patterns that defied the wind. Tesla experienced similar phenomena during his most powerful wireless transmission experiments. He documented cases where his Colorado Springs facility generated electromagnetic fields so intense they induced electrical currents in metal objects miles away from the transmission site. Barbed wire fences became electrified. Railway tracks carried enough induced current to power telegraph equipment. Tesla had inadvertently created a localized electromagnetic environment that transformed ordinary objects into components of a vast electrical circuit. The papyrus texts suggest the ancient Egyptians witnessed this same effect on a much larger scale. Their descriptions of widespread electromagnetic disturbances match exactly what modern engineers would predict from an uncontrolled resonant amplification event. The Black Pyramid hadn't just become a power generator, it had become the center of an expanding electromagnetic field that was transforming the entire region into a massive electrical system. This is where the story takes a darker turn. The hieroglyphic accounts describe increasingly desperate attempts by the priests to shut down the pyramid's operation as its electromagnetic output continued to grow. Traditional deactivation methods failed because the system had entered what Tesla called autonomous resonance, feeding off the Earth's own electromagnetic field to sustain and amplify its output. The final solution, according to the papyrus fragments, required a coordinated effort involving every major temple in Egypt. The priests performed what they called the Great Closing, a ritual that modern electrical engineers would recognize as a controlled electromagnetic discharge designed to safely dissipate the pyramid's stored energy. The ritual apparently worked, but at enormous cost. The hieroglyphic accounts describe massive lightning strikes that shattered the pyramid's capstone and sent electrical surges through the conductive channels beneath the structure. The controlled discharge was so powerful it melted sand into glass across wide areas of the desert floor, creating the mysterious fulgurite formations that archaeologists still find buried around the pyramid site. But the most intriguing detail in these ancient accounts is what happened to the knowledge itself. The priests who survived the Great Closing made a collective decision to hide not just the pyramid's technology, but all records of how it was built and operated. They scattered the technical documents across dozens of secret locations, ensuring that no future generation could easily reconstruct the complete system. This deliberate fragmentation of knowledge explains why Tesla struggled for decades to piece together the principles behind ancient energy technologies. He wasn't just reverse engineering from incomplete information. He was working with deliberately obscured records designed to prevent exactly what he was trying to accomplish. The priest's fear wasn't just about the immediate dangers of uncontrolled electromagnetic fields. The papyrus texts suggest they understood something that Tesla only discovered through bitter experience. Large-scale electromagnetic manipulation doesn't just affect local weather and wildlife. It can disrupt the subtle electrical processes that govern all biological life. Modern research in bioelectromagnetics has revealed that living organisms depend on precise electrical signals for everything from cellular communication to neural function. Powerful electromagnetic fields can interfere with these natural processes, causing effects that range from disorientation and behavioral changes to more serious physiological disruptions. Tesla documented similar effects during his wireless power experiments. Workers at his facilities reported headaches, insomnia, and unusual mood swings when operating near high-power transmission equipment. Local wildlife exhibited strange behaviors, with birds flying in erratic patterns and domesticated animals showing signs of distress. The ancient Egyptians, with their sophisticated understanding of natural harmony, may have recognized these biological effects long before Tesla encountered them. The papyrus fragments contain references to people living near the pyramid experiencing what they called god sickness, a condition characterized by restlessness, strange dreams, and an inability to maintain normal daily routines. These symptoms match exactly what modern researchers observe in populations exposed to strong electromagnetic fields. The human nervous system, which operates through tiny electrical impulses, becomes disrupted when subjected to external electromagnetic interference. The result is a cascade of neurological and physiological effects that ancient peoples would have interpreted as supernatural influence. But the biological disruption wasn't limited to humans. The hieroglyphic accounts describe widespread changes in animal behavior throughout the region. Livestock became agitated and refused to graze in certain areas. Fish in the Nile exhibited unusual swimming patterns, gathering in specific locations as if following invisible currents. Even insects showed altered behavior, with swarms forming geometric patterns that the priests interpreted as signs of divine displeasure. Modern entomologists have documented similar phenomena near high-power electrical installations. Insects navigate using natural electromagnetic cues, and artificial electromagnetic fields can override these natural guidance systems, causing insects to cluster in unnatural formations or migrate along paths that serve no biological purpose. The ancient Egyptians may have understood these connections between electromagnetic fields and biological systems far better than we give them credit for. Their decision to deactivate the Black Pyramid wasn't just about preventing technological disaster. It was about preserving the natural electromagnetic environment that all life depends on for survival. This raises profound questions about our current approach to electromagnetic technology. We live surrounded by artificial electromagnetic fields from power lines, radio towers, and wireless devices. The cumulative biological effects of this electromagnetic pollution are only beginning to be understood, and some researchers worry we may be creating the same kind of environmental disruption that forced the ancient Egyptians to abandon their energy technology. Tesla himself became increasingly concerned about these issues in his later years. His personal correspondence reveals growing anxiety about the long-term consequences of widespread electromagnetic manipulation. He began to question whether unlimited wireless power was worth the potential biological and environmental costs. The Black Pyramid's recent electromagnetic reactivation suggests these concerns may be more urgent than we realize. If the ancient system is indeed beginning to restore itself through autonomous resonance, we may soon face the same choice that confronted the Egyptian priests 4,000 years ago. The difference is that we live in an interconnected technological civilization that depends entirely on stable electromagnetic environments for its operation. Modern power grids, communication systems, and electronic devices are all vulnerable to electromagnetic interference. A major resonance event centered on the Black Pyramid could potentially disrupt technological systems across entire continents. But perhaps more importantly, we've lost the ancient wisdom that guided the Egyptian priests in their decision to prioritize long-term environmental harmony over short-term technological advantage. Our civilization's survival may depend on rediscovering that wisdom before the Black Pyramid completes whatever reactivation process has already begun. The electromagnetic field measurements around the pyramid continue to climb. Dr. Vasquez's latest readings, obtained just 3 months ago, show field strengths nearly double what she recorded in 2019. At this rate of increase, the pyramid may reach the threshold for autonomous resonance within the next 2 years. The question is no longer whether we should attempt to study and harness the Black Pyramid's technology. The question is whether we have the wisdom and courage to prevent its reactivation before it's too late. Because if Tesla was right about doors that cannot be closed, we may be approaching a threshold that will change our world forever, whether we're ready for it or not. The signs are already manifesting in ways that most people will never hear about. 3 weeks ago, a classified report from Egypt's Ministry of Tourism documented what they're calling technical difficulties at the Dahshur site. Electronic monitoring equipment installed around the Black Pyramid has been malfunctioning with increasing frequency. GPS devices lose signal within a 500-meter radius of the structure. Seismographs register vibrations that don't correspond to any known geological activity. Even the backup generators that power the site's security systems drain their batteries in half the normal time. But here's what the report doesn't mention. Local Bedouin guides have started refusing to take tourists near the pyramid after sunset. They speak in whispers about lights that dance around the apex on clear nights, electrical phenomena that their grandfathers described in stories they thought were mere folklore, the same stories that Tesla recorded in his private journals after meeting with the mysterious keeper. Dr. Hassan Mahmoud, a geophysicist at Cairo University, has been monitoring seismic activity around the pyramid for over a decade. His equipment detected something unprecedented 6 months ago. Microtremors occurring in perfect mathematical sequences, lasting exactly 11.79 seconds with 47.2-second intervals between them. These aren't random geological movements. They're electromagnetic pulses strong enough to physically vibrate the bedrock beneath the pyramid. Mahmoud's calculations reveal something that keeps him awake at night. The pulse sequences match the harmonic frequencies that Tesla identified as optimal for wireless power transmission. But the energy levels required to generate seismic effects through electromagnetic resonance are orders of magnitude beyond anything Tesla achieved in his experiments. The Black Pyramid isn't just reactivating. It's approaching the threshold where electromagnetic energy begins converting directly into mechanical force. Tesla witnessed this conversion phenomenon during his final experiments at Colorado Springs, and it terrified him enough to immediately dismantle his equipment. His notebook entry from that night describes watching metal objects spontaneously levitate as electromagnetic fields reached critical resonance. Tesla realized he had stumbled onto a principle that could theoretically move objects of any size, including the massive stone blocks used in pyramid construction. The ancient Egyptians may have already mastered this technology. Mainstream archaeology has never explained how workers moved 2.5-ton limestone blocks up ramps to heights of over 400 feet without mechanical advantage systems. But if the builders understood electromagnetic levitation, the construction process becomes not just possible, but elegant. The same resonant frequencies that powered the pyramid's energy systems could have been used to manipulate the building materials during construction. Evidence for this electromagnetic construction method exists in the precision of the pyramid's stone placement. Blocks are positioned with tolerances measured in millimeters, achieving fit accuracy that would be challenging even with modern machinery. This level of precision makes sense if the stones were positioned using controlled electromagnetic fields rather than crude mechanical methods. But electromagnetic levitation requires enormous energy inputs to lift objects of significant mass. The ancient builders would have needed a power source capable of generating sustained electromagnetic fields strong enough to overcome gravitational force. The only technology capable of such output would be a resonant amplification system exactly like the one Tesla theorized and the Black Pyramid appears to contain. This creates a chicken and egg paradox that has puzzled researchers for decades. How do you build an electromagnetic power generator using electromagnetic construction methods? The answer lies in the pyramid's multi-phase construction pattern, revealed through ground-penetrating radar surveys that show distinct building stages with different stone compositions and structural geometries. The pyramid wasn't built all at once. It was constructed in carefully planned phases, with each stage providing the electromagnetic capability needed to build the next level. The initial foundation layers used conventional construction methods to create a basic resonant chamber. This primitive system generated enough electromagnetic output to assist with the next construction phase, which expanded the resonant capability. Each building stage bootstrapped the electromagnetic power needed for increasingly sophisticated construction techniques. Tesla recognized this same bootstrapping principle in his wireless power research. Small-scale resonant systems could be used to power larger systems, which in turn could drive even more powerful configurations. But Tesla never attempted to scale this process to the massive proportions represented by pyramid construction. He understood that each amplification stage increased the risk of catastrophic resonance failure. The ancient builders apparently succeeded where Tesla feared to attempt, creating a resonant amplification cascade that culminated in a fully operational wireless power system. But their success may have come at a cost that modern civilization is unprepared to pay. The electromagnetic fields required for large-scale levitation don't just move objects, they fundamentally alter the electrical properties of everything within their range of influence. Recent atmospheric studies around the Black Pyramid reveal ionization patterns that shouldn't exist in the desert environment. The air itself is becoming electrically conductive at altitudes extending nearly a kilometer above the pyramid's apex. Atmospheric physicists recognize this phenomenon as artificial plasma generation, the same process that creates the aurora displays visible near Earth's magnetic poles. But the Black Pyramid is nowhere near the magnetic poles, and there's no known natural process that could generate plasma formation in the desert atmosphere. The ionization patterns suggest that electromagnetic fields emanating from the pyramid are becoming powerful enough to strip electrons from atmospheric gases, creating electrically charged particles that make the air itself conductive. Tesla documented similar atmospheric effects during his most powerful wireless transmission experiments. He described watching the air around his Colorado Springs facility become visibly luminous as electromagnetic fields ionized atmospheric gases. Tesla realized he was creating artificial lightning channels that could potentially carry electrical discharges far beyond his intended transmission range. The implications of atmospheric ionization around the Black Pyramid are staggering. If the electromagnetic fields continue to intensify, they could create permanent plasma channels extending from the pyramid's apex into the upper atmosphere. These channels would act as massive electrical conductors, potentially connecting the pyramid's resonant system to the ionosphere itself. The ionosphere is the electrically charged layer of Earth's atmosphere that reflects radio waves and protects the planet from solar radiation. It contains enormous amounts of electrical energy maintained by solar-wind interactions with Earth's magnetic field. A direct electrical connection between a ground-based resonance system and the ionosphere could theoretically tap into energy levels that dwarf anything available from terrestrial sources. Tesla speculated about this possibility in his later notebooks, theorizing that wireless power transmission could eventually access the vast electrical potential stored in the ionosphere. But he also warned that such a connection could destabilize the ionosphere's natural electrical balance, potentially disrupting the global electromagnetic environment that protects all life on Earth. The ancient Egyptians may have achieved exactly this connection between their pyramid reactor and the ionosphere. Hieroglyphic accounts describe the pyramid generating divine fire that reached toward the heavens, creating pathways between Earth and sky. These descriptions match what atmospheric physicists would expect to observe during ionospheric electrical coupling. But the papyrus texts also describe the catastrophic consequences of this connection. The hieroglyphs speak of the sky itself becoming angry, generating unnatural storms and electrical displays that persisted for weeks after the pyramid was deactivated. Modern meteorologists would interpret these accounts as evidence of widespread atmospheric disruption caused by ionospheric destabilization. The Egyptian priests' decision to perform the Great Closing may have been motivated by their recognition that the pyramid's Ios or nospheric connection was threatening the global atmospheric balance. Their coordinated ritual discharge wasn't just shutting down a local power system, it was emergency intervention to prevent worldwide electromagnetic catastrophe. Dr. Vasquez's latest atmospheric measurements suggest we may be approaching a similar crisis. The ionization patterns above the Black Pyramid now extend to altitudes where they could theoretically interact with the lower edges of the ionosphere. If the electromagnetic field strength continues to increase at its current rate, ionospheric coupling could occur within 18 months. The potential consequences of uncontrolled ionospheric coupling in the modern era would be catastrophic. Our entire technological civilization depends on stable electromagnetic environments for communication, navigation, and power distribution. A major ionospheric disruption could simultaneously disable satellite communications, GPS systems, and electrical power grids across multiple continents. But the biological consequences could be even more severe. The ionosphere helps regulate Earth's global electrical circuit, maintaining the subtle electromagnetic fields that influence weather patterns, ocean currents, and biological rhythms. Disrupting this system could trigger climate changes and ecological disruptions that make current environmental concerns seem trivial by comparison. Tesla's warnings about doors that cannot be closed take on new urgency when viewed in this context. The Black Pyramid's reactivation isn't just a fascinating archaeological mystery, it's a potential extinction-level threat that could fundamentally alter the electromagnetic environment that has sustained life on Earth for millions of years. The question facing us now is whether we have the knowledge and capability to prevent what the ancient Egyptians barely managed to stop 4,000 years ago. Modern electromagnetic theory gives us better understanding of the physical processes involved, but we lack the spiritual wisdom and long-term perspective that guided the Egyptian priests in their decision to prioritize planetary stability over technological advancement. We also face a more complex challenge than the ancient Egyptians encountered. They were dealing with a single resonant system in a relatively electromagnetic quiet environment. We must address the pyramid's reactivation while managing the electromagnetic interference from thousands of modern technological systems that could potentially interact with the pyramid's fields in unpredictable ways. Recent computer modeling attempts to predict these interactions have produced results that range from merely catastrophic to completely incomprehensible. The mathematical complexity of modeling planetary-scale electromagnetic resonance exceeds the capabilities of even our most advanced supercomputers. We're essentially flying blind into a phenomenon that could reshape the fundamental electrical properties of our planet. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of this situation is the possibility that the reactivation process is already beyond human control. Autonomous resonance systems, once they reach critical thresholds, become self-sustaining and self-amplifying. They no longer require external energy inputs because they begin extracting power directly from the Earth's electromagnetic field. Tesla experienced this phenomenon on a small scale during his Colorado Springs experiments, and it convinced him to abandon wireless power transmission research entirely. He realized that autonomous resonance could theoretically continue amplifying until it either found a stable equilibrium point or destroyed itself through runaway energy feedback. The Black Pyramid's design suggests its builders understood this risk and incorporated safety mechanisms to prevent runaway amplification. The precise mathematical relationships governing the pyramid's internal geometry appear designed to establish stable resonance points that would prevent catastrophic energy buildup. But these safety mechanisms depend on the pyramid's structural integrity remaining intact. 4,000 years of weathering, flooding, and human interference have altered the pyramid's geometry in ways that could compromise its resonant stability. The same structural damage that deactivated the pyramid's energy systems may have also disabled the safety mechanisms that prevented dangerous resonance cascades. This means the pyramid's current reactivation process could potentially exceed the energy levels its builders considered safe. We're not just witnessing the restoration of ancient technology, we're watching a potentially unstable system rebuild itself without the safeguards that originally kept it under control. The electromagnetic field measurements around the pyramid show patterns that support this troubling possibility. Instead of approaching a stable resonance point, The field strength continues to increase in an accelerating curve that suggests exponential amplification. This is exactly the signature that Tesla observed just before his Colorado Springs facility experienced catastrophic resonance failure. Time may be running out faster than anyone realizes. Dr. Mahmood's latest seismic data shows that the microtremors beneath the pyramid are occurring with increasing frequency and amplitude. The electromagnetic pulses are no longer isolated events. They're beginning to overlap, creating continuous vibrations that suggest the pyramid's resonance system is approaching the threshold for autonomous operation. Once that threshold is crossed, the pyramid will no longer be a dormant archaeological site slowly reawakening. It will become an active electromagnetic reactor operating at power levels that could influence atmospheric and geological processes on a planetary scale. And unlike Tesla's carefully monitored experiments, there will be no kill switch to shut it down if something goes wrong. The ancient Egyptians faced this same moment of truth when their pyramid reactor approached autonomous resonance 4,000 years ago. They chose wisdom over power, sacrificing their greatest technological achievement to preserve the natural balance that sustains all life. The question is whether our civilization has the courage to make the same choice, or whether our desperation for unlimited energy will drive us past the point of no return. Because once the Black Pyramid crosses the threshold into autonomous resonance, it won't matter whether we understand how it works or whether we're prepared for the consequences. It will reshape our world according to electromagnetic principles that operated long before human civilization existed and will continue operating long after we're gone. The only question is whether we'll survive the transformation. The numbers don't lie, and what they're telling us should terrify every government on Earth. Dr. Vasquez's monitoring station recorded something 3 days ago that she initially dismissed as equipment malfunction. The electromagnetic field strength around the Black Pyramid spiked to levels that shouldn't be possible from a supposedly dormant structure. But when she recalibrated her instruments and took new measurements, the readings were even higher. We're not talking about gradual increases anymore. The pyramid's electromagnetic output has jumped by 340% in just 72 hours. That's not reactivation. That's acceleration towards something that no one alive has ever witnessed. And the pattern of increase matches exactly what Tesla documented in his final Colorado Springs experiment before everything went catastrophically wrong. Tesla's notebook entry from that night is chilling in its simplicity. The resonance achieved autonomous state at 11:42 p.m. All attempts to reduce power output failed, system no longer responding to external control. God help us all. 3 hours later, the largest man-made electrical discharge in recorded history lit up the Colorado sky and knocked out telegraph communications from Denver to Chicago. But Tesla's facility was a primitive prototype compared to what the ancient Egyptians built into the Black Pyramid. The power differential is like comparing a firecracker to a nuclear bomb. Tesla was working with kilowatts of electrical energy. The pyramid's resonance system was designed to handle megawatts, possibly gigawatts of electromagnetic power. If it achieves autonomous resonance at full capacity, the energy release could be visible from orbit. The biological effects are already manifesting in ways that local authorities are desperately trying to suppress. Hospital admissions in Cairo have increased by 60% over the past month, with patients reporting symptoms that doctors can't explain. Chronic headaches that don't respond to medication. Sleep disorders characterized by vivid recurring dreams about electrical storms. Most disturbing of all, several patients have reported periods of temporary paralysis, accompanied by the sensation of electrical current flowing through their bodies. Dr. Sarah Okafor, a neurologist at Cairo General Hospital, has been tracking these cases since they started appearing 6 weeks ago. Her preliminary findings, which she shared only with a small circle of trusted colleagues, suggest that the patients are experiencing electromagnetic interference with their nervous systems. The human brain operates on electrical impulses measured in millivolts. Exposure to powerful electromagnetic fields can disrupt these natural electrical processes, causing neurological symptoms that range from mild disorientation to complete nervous system failure. But what's most disturbing about Dr. Okafor's research isn't the symptoms themselves, it's their geographic distribution. Every single patient lives within a 50-kilometer radius of the Black Pyramid, and the severity of symptoms correlates precisely with distance from the pyramid site. The closer to the structure, the more severe the neurological effects. This matches Tesla's observations during his wireless power experiments. He documented similar neurological symptoms in workers at his facilities, and he noticed that the effects extended far beyond the immediate area of his transmission equipment. Tesla theorized that powerful electromagnetic fields could propagate through the Earth itself, affecting biological systems at distances limited only by the field strength and the conductivity of the intervening material. The geology around the Black Pyramid is unfortunately ideal for electromagnetic propagation. The underground aquifer system that the pyramid was built over creates a natural conductive network extending for hundreds of kilometers in all directions. As the pyramid's electromagnetic output increases, these conductive pathways are carrying electrical energy deep into the surrounding region, creating an expanding zone of biological interference. Dr. Okafor's patient data shows that this zone is growing larger every week. Cases that initially appeared only within a 20-kilometer radius of the pyramid are now being reported from villages 80 kilometers away. At this rate of expansion, electromagnetic effects could reach Cairo's metropolitan area within 6 months. That's over 20 million people potentially exposed to neurological disruption from ancient technology that we don't understand and can't control. But the human cost is only part of the equation. The pyramid's electromagnetic field is also affecting the region's technological infrastructure in ways that threaten to expose the entire situation to global attention. Cell phone towers within a 30-kilometer radius of the pyramid have been experiencing intermittent failures for the past 3 weeks. GPS satellites lose lock when tracking objects near the pyramid site. Even commercial aircraft flying over the region report navigation anomalies and radio interference. Egyptian authorities have implemented a no-fly zone around the pyramid, officially citing archaeological protection concerns. But leaked communications from the Ministry of Civil Aviation reveal the real reason. Pilots attempting to fly through the pyramid's electromagnetic field report complete electrical system failures, forcing emergency landings at nearby airfields. The electromagnetic interference is so intense that it can disable aircraft electronics from altitudes of over 10,000 feet. This is exactly what Tesla predicted would happen as wireless power transmission systems scaled up to planetary dimensions. He theorized that sufficiently powerful electromagnetic fields could interfere with any electrical device within their range of influence. But Tesla never imagined that such fields could be generated by ancient stone structures, using principles that predate our understanding of electromagnetic theory by thousands of years. The implications for modern civilization are staggering. Our entire technological infrastructure depends on stable electromagnetic environments for operation. Power grids, communication networks, transportation systems, medical equipment, financial databases, everything that keeps our complex society functioning relies on precise electrical signals that can be disrupted by electromagnetic interference. If the Black Pyramid continues amplifying its electromagnetic output, the disruption zone could eventually encompass major population centers across North Africa and the Middle East. Imagine Cairo, Alexandria, Jerusalem, and Damascus simultaneously losing electrical power, cellular communications, and internet connectivity. The economic chaos alone could trigger global financial collapse, but perhaps more terrifying is what might happen if other ancient structures begin responding to the pyramid's electromagnetic broadcasts. Ground-penetrating radar surveys have identified over 200 pyramid-like structures buried beneath the sands of Egypt, most of them never excavated or studied. These structures were built using the same mathematical principles and construction techniques as the Black Pyramid. If they contain similar resonant systems, the pyramid's reactivation could trigger a cascade effect that awakens electromagnetic reactors across the entire region. Tesla's notebooks contain references to this possibility, which he called sympathetic resonance. The idea that identical resonant systems will naturally synchronize their oscillations when exposed to each other's electromagnetic fields. Tesla observed this phenomenon during experiments with multiple wireless transmission towers, and he realized it could theoretically create continent-spanning electromagnetic networks. The ancient Egyptians may have intentionally designed their pyramid network to operate through sympathetic resonance. This would explain why so many pyramids were built with nearly identical internal geometries and mathematical proportions. They weren't separate monuments built by different pharaohs, they were components of a unified electromagnetic system designed to generate and distribute wireless power across the entire civilization. If this network begins reactivating through sympathetic resonance, we could witness the restoration of an ancient electrical grid that once powered technologies we can barely imagine. But we would also face electromagnetic interference, on a scale that could permanently disable modern electronics across much of the inhabited world. Recent satellite imagery has detected thermal anomalies at 17 pyramid sites across Egypt, suggesting that the Black Pyramid's electromagnetic field is already triggering responses from other buried structures. The thermal signatures are subtle but consistent, showing temperature increases of 2–3 degrees Celsius in specific geometric patterns around each site. Dr. Mahmoud has deployed seismic monitoring equipment at 3 of these locations and recorded microtremors identical to those detected beneath the Black Pyramid. The tremors began appearing exactly 48 hours after the pyramid's latest electromagnetic surge, suggesting that the underground resonance systems are beginning to synchronize their oscillations. This synchronization process could accelerate exponentially as more structures join the network. Each newly activated pyramid would add its electromagnetic output to the collective field strength, increasing the power available to activate additional pyramids. Within months, the entire network could be operating at full capacity, generating electromagnetic fields powerful enough to influence atmospheric and geological processes on a planetary scale. The ancient papyrus texts describe exactly this kind of network activation during the pyramid's original operational period. The hieroglyphs speak of a time when all the sacred monuments sang together with the voice of the gods, creating harmony between earth and sky. Modern electrical engineers would interpret this as evidence of synchronized electromagnetic resonance across multiple pyramid sites, but the texts also describe the catastrophic consequences when this network reached full power. The hieroglyphs speak of the sky catching fire, of lightning that struck without clouds, of the very stones of the earth trembling with divine power. These descriptions match what atmospheric physicists would expect to observe during large-scale ionospheric coupling events. The Egyptian priest's decision to perform the Great Closing wasn't just about shutting down a single pyramid. It was about preventing the complete activation of the electromagnetic network that could have destabilized the entire planet's electrical environment. They understood that some technologies are too powerful to be used safely, regardless of the benefits they might provide. But we face a more complex situation than the ancient Egyptians encountered. They were dealing with a carefully planned activation sequence that they could interrupt through coordinated ritual intervention. We're witnessing an uncontrolled reactivation process triggered by unknown factors and accelerating beyond our ability to predict or influence. The electromagnetic fields around the Black Pyramid are no longer following the stable patterns that Tesla documented during controlled resonance experiments. The field's strength fluctuates wildly, creating chaotic electromagnetic pulses that suggest the system is struggling to find stable operating parameters. This is exactly the signature that precedes catastrophic resonance failure in electrical systems. Tesla experienced this phenomenon during his final Colorado Springs experiment, and his description of the event provides a chilling preview of what might happen if the pyramid's resonance becomes unstable. The electromagnetic field began oscillating beyond design parameters, Tesla wrote. Each oscillation grew stronger than the last, feeding back into itself until the entire system became a runaway amplification cascade. The discharge that followed exceeded anything I had thought possible from terrestrial sources. The energy released from Tesla's facility was equivalent to being struck by lightning continuously for 3 hours. The electromagnetic pulse generated by the event was detected by instruments as far away as Europe. If the Black Pyramid experiences a similar resonance failure at its much larger scale, the energy release could be equivalent to multiple nuclear weapons detonating simultaneously. But unlike nuclear weapons, which release their energy in a single catastrophic burst, electromagnetic resonance failure would create a sustained energy discharge that could continue for days or weeks until the system finally stabilized or destroyed itself completely. The electromagnetic pulse from such an event would propagate around the globe multiple times, potentially damaging every electronic device on the planet. This scenario isn't science fiction. It's the logical conclusion of electromagnetic principles that Tesla discovered and that ancient Egyptian engineers apparently mastered thousands of years ago. The only question is whether we have enough time and knowledge to prevent the pyramid's reactivation from reaching the point of catastrophic failure. Dr. Vasquez's latest measurements suggest that time is running out faster than anyone anticipated. The electromagnetic field around the pyramid is now strong enough to induce electrical currents in metal objects over a kilometre away from the structure. Bedouin guides report that metal jewellery becomes uncomfortably hot when worn near the pyramid site. Even the steel reinforcement bars in concrete structures at the nearby tourist facilities are beginning to resonate audibly when the pyramid's electromagnetic output reaches peak intensity. These are the same phenomena that Tesla observed just hours before his Colorado Springs facility experienced catastrophic failure. The electromagnetic field was becoming so intense that it was converting directly into heat and mechanical energy in any conductive material within its range of influence. Tesla's final notebook entry before the disaster provides a haunting parallel to our current situation. The resonance is approaching the threshold beyond which external intervention becomes impossible. The system has gained too much momentum to be stopped by conventional means. We have perhaps hours before the point of no return. Tesla's facility was destroyed that night in an electromagnetic discharge that was visible for hundreds of miles. But Tesla had built his system to be easily dismantled in an emergency. He could physically disconnect the power sources and break the resonance circuits that maintain the electromagnetic field. The Black Pyramid doesn't have an off switch. Its resonance system is built from millions of tons of precisely positioned stone blocks that can't be quickly dismantled or disconnected. Once the electromagnetic field reaches autonomous resonance, there may be no way to stop the amplification cascade short of physically destroying the entire structure. But destroying the pyramid might itself trigger the catastrophic energy release we're trying to prevent. The resonance system has been building electromagnetic potential for months. That stored energy has to go somewhere, and sudden structural collapse could cause all of it to discharge simultaneously in an uncontrolled electromagnetic pulse. We're trapped in the same impossible situation that faced the Egyptian priest 4,000 years ago. Allowing the pyramid to continue its reactivation risks global electromagnetic catastrophe. But attempting to stop the process through destructive intervention could trigger the very disaster we're trying to prevent. The ancient Egyptians found a third option through their great closing ritual, a coordinated electromagnetic discharge that safely dissipated the pyramid's stored energy while permanently disabling its resonant capabilities. But their solution required detailed knowledge of the pyramid's internal electromagnetic systems and the participation of priests trained specifically in electromagnetic manipulation techniques. We possess neither the knowledge nor the expertise that would be necessary to attempt a controlled shutdown of the pyramid's reactivation process. Modern electromagnetic theory gives us the vocabulary to describe what's happening, but not the practical understanding needed to safely intervene in a resonance system of this scale and complexity. Our only hope may lie in the scattered fragments of ancient knowledge that Tesla spent decades trying to piece together. His notebooks contain references to techniques for electromagnetic field manipulation that he learned from his mysterious contact, the Keeper. These techniques were based on principles that Tesla never fully understood but that apparently worked when properly applied. Tesla's correspondence suggests that the Keeper possessed not just theoretical knowledge about ancient electromagnetic systems, but practical experience in their operation and control. The individual claimed to be part of a lineage that had preserved the original Egyptian techniques for managing pyramid resonance systems through thousands of years of secrecy. If this lineage still exists, its members may be our only source of the specialized knowledge needed to safely manage the Black Pyramid's reactivation. But Tesla's relationship with the Keeper ended abruptly over a century ago, and no trace of this mysterious individual or organization has surfaced since. Time is running out to find alternatives. Dr. Vasquez's monitoring equipment now registers electromagnetic field fluctuations around the pyramid that exceed the measurement range of her instruments. The system is approaching energy levels that no one has ever observed in controlled conditions. Within days, possibly hours, the pyramid may cross the threshold into autonomous resonance. Once that happens, the ancient technology will operate according to its own electromagnetic imperatives, indifferent to human concerns about safety or survival. The question is no longer whether we can understand or control what the pyramid builders created. The question is whether we can survive its reawakening. The electromagnetic signatures emanating from the pyramid are already being detected by monitoring stations around the world. Scientists in Japan report unusual ionospheric disturbances that correlate with the pyramid's field fluctuations. Researchers in Antarctica have recorded electromagnetic anomalies that appear to be responses to signals originating from the North African region. We may be witnessing the first stirrings of a global electromagnetic system that once connected ancient civilizations across vast distances. But our modern technological civilization isn't designed to coexist with such a system. The electromagnetic fields that powered ancient Egyptian technology could permanently disable every electronic device that defines our way of life. The pyramid builders understood this compatibility problem and they chose to deactivate their technology rather than risk destroying the natural electromagnetic environment that biological life depends on. Their wisdom preserved the world for future generations, including ours. Now we face the same choice they made. Will we find the courage to prioritize long-term planetary stability over short-term technological advancement? Or will our desperation for unlimited energy drive us past the point where for us to decide? It's following the electromagnetic imperatives built choice remains possible. Because the Black Pyramid isn't waiting into its stone geometry 4,000 years ago, and those imperatives don't include concern for human survival. The ancient builders created something that could outlast their civilization. They just never intended for it to outlast ours as well. The countdown to autonomous resonance has begun, and every electromagnetic pulse from the pyramid brings us closer to discovering whether ancient wisdom or modern hubris will determine humanity's future. In the end, the choice may not be ours to make. The pyramid has already chosen to reawaken. The only question is whether we'll survive to witness what it was truly designed to accomplish. So here we stand, staring across the desert at a monument that was never meant to be just a tomb. The Black Pyramid isn't just weathered stone and collapsed chambers, it's a testament to knowledge that we've spent centuries dismissing as impossible. Tesla's wireless power transmission, ancient Egyptian electromagnetic mastery. The idea that our ancestors understood principles we're only beginning to rediscover. Every piece of evidence we've examined, from the pyramid's capacitor-like construction to its position over vast underground aquifers, from Tesla's mysterious notebooks to the recent electromagnetic readings that have scientists scrambling for explanations, it all points to the same unsettling conclusion. We weren't the first to harness the Earth's electromagnetic field. We weren't the first to dream of unlimited wireless energy, and we may not be the first civilization to face the terrifying choice between technological power and planetary survival. The ancient Egyptians made that choice 4,000 years ago, sacrificing their greatest achievement to preserve the natural balance that sustains all life. The question that should keep us awake at night is whether we'll have the wisdom to make the same choice, or whether we'll let our desperation for clean energy drive us past the point of no return. Because if Dr. Vasquez's readings are accurate, if the electromagnetic field around the Black Pyramid continues accelerating toward autonomous resonance, we may soon discover that some doors, once opened, truly cannot be closed again. The pyramid is waking up, whether we're ready or not, and when it does, we'll learn whether the ancient builders created a gift for future civilizations or a test that we're destined to fail. What do you think? Are we witnessing the return of lost technology that could save our world, or are we approaching a threshold that could destroy it? Let me know in the comments below, and if this investigation into ancient electromagnetic mysteries intrigued you, check out my deep dive into Tesla's suppressed Colorado Springs experiments that might hold the key to understanding what the pyramid builders really achieved.